Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Buenos noches. Well, I should say tardes because it's afternoon or evening. And afternoon is evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. This is your host, Cranky, not with a C, with a K. Appreciate you being here. We're back. As my good friend Squeeze would say, we are back again for another episode of Cranky Live. We had a brilliant episode yesterday, at least from my perspective, where we had Andre Fortune, Mr. Before the game or after the game or during the game, something about the game, because he's very much in the game, was here talking about his academy, IDF, interdevelopment, football, FUT, with what we have a slash over the UBOL. That's the name of his academy. It's in North Carolina. And we were talking yesterday mainly about Andre, his background, his experiences, his journey. And we touched upon on the academy a bit yesterday. But we go in more detail today. So welcome in, Mr. Andre. Good evening.
Good evening, Cranky.
You're good?
I'm doing very good. Very
all
good.
Right,
always,
always good? I'm
yeah,
not sure anybody's always good.
I try to be.
All right. The attempt is a good thing. It's a good attempt.
Yeah.
It's good to make the attempt to always try to be good. It's a good thing. So I see Dr. Don is in the house. Bless up, Dr. Don. Hope your patients are treating you right. I had a interesting conversation today with somebody in the doctor's office, and they sent me some forms to fill out an hour before a virtual call, and I was not happy. And when I'm not happy, I'm just going to let you know I'm not happy. So it was an interesting conversation. Ricardo, good evening. How you doing? I was not happy. It was a lot of forms too. It wasn't like those forms, you fill out a form in 5 minutes. It's a lot of forms, but I have this continuous war with doctors.
I had a similar experience. Somebody sent me a lot of videos today.
Oh, well, did you ask them for the videos? Just curious. What happened now? No, I filled the form out and we had a conversation. The doctor was very pleasant, by the way. It's just their assistant, or assistants, actually. There's more than one person involved, actually. But that worked out. And then today, the big news of the day, actually, before I jump in with Andre because we have a lot to talk about, was Zelensky in the White House with Trump and Vance. Now, I think people should be very concerned about where we're going as a world because the U.S. dominates the world. I know China has made a lot of inroads and have done a lot and are coming up the pike, but the U.S. is on top of that pike, whatever that hill is. And it's good. We are in for a very, I said it the first time the orange man came around. It's going to be a bumpy journey, and boy, would it be bumpy. I mean, you see something you never see. I call him the first time and second time around the ghetto president because the behavior is ghetto, right? When you are in the White House arguing and shouting in front of cameras, you're ghetto. You're ghetto. You may have money, you may have been around the elites, but you're just ghetto. You can't get the ghetto out of you. You can take them out of the ghetto. We can't take the ghetto out of them.
Football presidents?
Huh?
Football presidents at the Emmys? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I don't want football president beating me. Talking about the U.S. president. Football presidents don't like me. And by the way, it's not only presidents don't like me, technical directors don't like me either. So I'm making enemies as I go along. Maybe I should stop doing this YouTube thing because making enemies every other show, I make another enemy. It's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good thing, Andre. So let's start, Andre. Let's start. And good evening, everyone. Ricardo, Dr. Don, Leslie Davis. I haven't seen Leslie before, I don't think, actually. Leslie Davis, so you're male or female? I'm trying to get more female persons to attend my shows. And so I maybe do less sports because sometimes the females, them who are my subscribers says, you talk too much sports. We need to talk about real life. So I'm planning to do a show on immigration and deportation. Yeah, it should be interesting. Now, you are able to call into the show. So I'm going to run a number at the bottom at some point. So we'll do that during the session. You're going to be able to call in. So it should be an interesting mail. Okay, Leslie. Interesting that. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks for being here. So let's start, Andre. Let's start. We'll continue from yesterday. So now we want to talk about, which we hadn't talked about before, which is very important. Very important. We're going to talk about the challenges faced by your organization. We're going to talk about your style of play. So you've been in existence since 2011. You've experienced much success. You get to play some international teams with names. Man City, you've engaged with Liverpool. You spent time at Barca. You had your son at Barca. But if you go back to your academy, what are the academy's sort of biggest challenge in the environment you're in now? Think about competition and funding and recruiting. What's your biggest challenge? And how do you effectively address such challenges?
Well, as I shared yesterday, I think I started to share one of the biggest challenges that we have faced over the years is people think in terms of institution. So as a small club that functions different to most clubs, people struggle to understand the concept because the game have a way it's approached. Yeah, it's a very lucrative industry to be in. There's a lot of money involved. And sometimes the decisions that get made appears to be based on the potential revenue. Okay. And that's something that I can say that we have not fall victim of. So
can we don't charge people free just to be academy,
No, it's not free, but not because you pay, it doesn't mean that you look the way I look at it, when you decide to come to the football club, you're making a decision that you're coming to get a football education, right?
Right.
So if you're coming to get a football education, you can't come in and then decide what the education should look like. You understand what I'm saying? And so all around what we have is, I think we have a lot of people, a lot of clubs probably allow that to happen because the revenue becomes the reason why the business exists. We want the revenue as well, but we also want to provide value. And to provide value, you have to introduce people to an environment that has standards and do things in a way that's going to benefit the kid in the long run. So when I think about it, last night after reflecting, we talk about working with kids all the time, right? And I said, it's a privilege to work with kids. But one of the things that happens sometimes that makes it difficult is the challenge to their parents involved. These kids have parents. And I see a lot of people sometimes run from dealing with the parents. And I don't believe that you could ultimately be successful in educating a kid in football, dealing with the character without a good relationship between the parents, the player, and the kid. I think that's extremely important. One of the other challenges that we face, because we are small and revenue is key, what happens is the programming that others have in the clubs in the US, I don't know if you're aware, they have what I like to call the acronyms: NPL, in this state, NCYSA, ECNL, MLS Next. They have all of these things that people gravitate towards because it's supposed to be, quote unquote, the higher level. right? So you have kids in a football club that might be playing in 3 of these leagues, and but what is done on the field during the course of the week takes a back seat to the games on a weekend, and that's not the type of environment that we want to have. So those, when you put the standards along with us not wanting to be like everybody else, it has presented tremendous challenges.
One of the challenges that you always face in any business, and yours are no different, is sometimes a business struggle to retain its product, actually, when it's people, when it's human capital.
Right.
So how do you keep players motivated and committed to IDF, to your program?
Look, we've always said that it's not for everybody, but and we don't have a high turnover. Sometimes we may lose, we go through a season and we may lose 1 or 2 kids. I think the people that come in, it probably starts with, is either we get them very young or we get them at some point in the development process where they're fed up with the number of clubs that they've gone to. So they're now looking for something different. One of the challenges with that is that when you get them at 16, it becomes extremely difficult to rewire them to learn the game in the way in which they would have learned it if they started in an environment like ours from, let's say, 9 years old, 8 years old. And I happen to believe that we can help depending on where the kid is, but the kid needs to also let go of most of what he has experienced before. And so the harder the kid work it is, but that improvement is probably about 15, 20%. I don't think it's much more than that.
So when you're saying that, I'm smiling because I'm thinking about how do international footballers get rid of what they learn in the club when they go play away international duties?
It's the period of time, it takes time, right? So the period of time
well, when it's a short period for international duty, right?
Right.
I mean, at least you can mold them after they have learned all the bad habits. You can mold them.
No, it's not going to happen.
So go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a process, and it takes lots of repetition and commitment, and the standard helps a lot. I keep mentioning the standards. The standards help a lot. If you don't hold young players to a high standard, both on and off the field, it becomes increasingly difficult to get them to where they want to go, or to realize that potential they can get to.
All right. So what role do parents play in player development, and how do you manage expectation versus reality? Because we see these stories, we see these situations with parents, especially when they have a heightened perspective, or maybe a utopia perspective on their kid as to how good they are, when it may not be reality, right? So how do you manage? How do they help with the player's development? How do you manage their expectation versus what is deemed to be reality?
It's simple. We don't promise anybody anything. We don't promise you're going to go play in college. We don't promise you that you're going to go play pro. The only thing that we promise is that we're going to have an environment on a daily basis that if you have ambition and want to do the work to get to that level, the environment exists. It's up to you. Okay? Right. We're very honest when it comes to that, because the truth is, anybody that's promising you anything, I don't think they're being realistic, because I have had kids, and I'm going to show you one this afternoon, who I think could have played at the very highest level, but he didn't want to. He decided, I wanted to go to this school and get a degree, and I don't care to play football. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
So the ambition is important, and I can't. One of the things that the gentleman that I started the club with, one of the things that he has said to me over the years in the early days, he always said to me that you cannot give something to somebody that they do not want.
Right. It's not that the kid doesn't have ambition; he has ambition someplace else.
Right.
It's an interesting, right? His ambition is not someplace else. Not in football; it's someplace else.
Ambition in football is what I mean.
Yeah. So let's get to one of my favorite topics, which we have talked about quite a bit. Go ahead.
There's a lot of parents can create a situation where it's difficult to work with their kid. But what we try to do is educate them on how to be involved with the kid in sport, because it's impossible for anybody as a coach to get the best out of the kid if there's not a good relationship. We call it the magic triangle between the player, the parent, and the coach. If that relationship does not exist, the kid does not benefit. If that relationship is strong and it exists, the kid learning is accelerated because the kid feels safe, the kid feels supported, all the things that is required. You know, we have the stats, right? We know what happens in a single family home versus a two-parent home. We have those statistics. I don't know that it's any different in sport. If a kid comes to play for me and that relationship doesn't exist, I think it makes it extremely difficult.
Right. Okay. Now, this is one of my favorite topics. I was jumping to it even before you got there. It's about your footballing philosophy. I noticed yesterday one of the things that you had there was possession is a lifestyle. So how would you describe IDF's football philosophy, style of play, and which teams or clubs or countries did you emulate when you put this in place?
Look, what we try to do is very simple. I mean, football, there's one ball in the game. In a football match, there's one ball, and we've decided that we want to have it. So our idea in terms of our game model, the way we want to play, is that we want to dominate possession from our defensive third into the attacking third and score as much goals as possible. It's that simple, right? One simple sentence, and that's what we work towards every single day. When we lose the ball, we want to win it back as quickly as possible. When we win the ball from the opponent, our first intent is to try to see if we can get the goal and score. And if we can't, then we want to keep it. Right? We always want to have the ball because I believe the game is more enjoyable, especially at a younger age, when you have the ball. If you're chasing the ball around, I'm not so sure that's fun.
Right. So we've had conversation on my channel and other channels around, and I'm smiling saying this, in the Caribbean, the view is the athletes, they're big and strong and quick. So the objective is to get the ball up the quick field as quick as possible. Mm-hmm. So you shouldn't be married to any just one style of play. You should be flexible in your approach. So how do you address situation where the team you're playing may be stronger than you when you have this concept that I have to maintain and keep the ball?
Okay, so my thoughts about that is, I think it's if that's your position on the young people in the Caribbean, then I think you're saying to yourself and to everybody else that they cannot learn to play football. Okay? And if we want to depend on physicality, so I say to young players all the time, I just had that conversation this week with a player. Some players develop early, physically develop early, right? And when that happens, they have an advantage. And they can do a lot of things that most other kids can't do, but it's based on their athleticism. And if they don't learn to play the game, what happens eventually is at 16, 17, everybody gets big and strong. And most of them will get fast as well. So they can now match you physically. Because we're going to go through those stages of growth, and we're going to meet you some years up the road. And the younger ones, the ones that didn't have the physical, they would have learned to play the game. So now they have the physicality, they have the football mind, and they can play the game. And you may not have the football mind, but you have the physicality, but that's not working for you anymore. So what I'm saying is, I don't see that as the best way to approach the game. I think we have to start by believing that our young people could learn to play the game just like others around the world. We have to believe we can produce a Iniesta, produce a Xavi, produce guys with that type of football brain. And we have to commit ourselves to doing the work. And if you get a proper education in football, you would play. You can adapt your style. Okay, so I can show you where teams believe or know that we play possession football and we like to play out the back, and they come to press. And we score in the first minute because we're not afraid to hit the ball over the top and go score. So you adapt to the situation if you have the football education. But if you only dependent on kicking the ball long and depend on your physicality, I think you're going to run into challenges, a lot of challenges eventually. I'm going to find it hard to have success. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So maybe we should. Do you have any example, like in your any games that we can see? You can show me that you can play possession, because it's good to talk about playing possession. But do you have anything or any of your games that you play where we may have that possession?
Let me see if I can find something here for you. And
maybe we can start with the early years
and
work our way up. Yeah, start off with the early years and work our way up to, because I'm sure you have like older tapes to more younger tapes. And if you can't find them, maybe I
can find it. I'm just trying to figure out the screen thing. You're gonna see my entire screen. Is that what's gonna happen here?
No, put it up. Let's see what happens. If it blows up, it blows up. It blows up. It blows up. It blows up.
It's not gonna blow up. All right, hold on a minute. I am going to get you something from the early days.
I mean, what Triple E is saying. Triple E saying creative thinking, and that's come with educational aspects, and seeing what to expect and how to get out of it. The Triple E look like he's in the coaching business also. I hear some noise. Somebody's squealing.
Hold on. Yeah, somebody's having a hard time. Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes. So if
you can't do it, yours truly can figure something out. No, I'm very good with technology, unlike you. By the way, people, it's an inside joke. Let me see something here.
I just got to get the right name of it.
I thought you had one with like early days.
For the very early days you want, right?
Yeah. Like the first early day. You know what? Let me just see if I have something on here. IDF 27. Yeah, I think I can come up with that. No, it's blanked out. Oh my Lord.
Okay, I got it.
That's not good. I saw it on my screen here, and then I tried to put it up, and it's not going up. Patience with us, people. We have a few videos we want to show you. So,
all right. Can you see this?
Yes, I can see it. So I can add it. You want me to add it to the stage?
Yeah,
I can add it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem I was having. All
right. So this is early days.
Yeah.
So why didn't play? One second.
Hold on, I haven't played yet. So this is very, very early. This is after about, you have a group of kids, they're 9, 10 years old, and we had just played practice for about 6, 7 months to get them to look at the game through the lens that, how we see the game.
Yeah, look like they can beat somebody too. Look, he turned him around 3 times. He turned him around 3 times.
And they were comfortable, and they're just using the space, and just, they have the confidence that they can do what they want, right?
So what year would this have been?
This would have been early 2012 probably. Because we started late in the year in 2011, so this would have been early 2012.
They're so comfortable, and they're like 11, 12 years old, right?
No, they were 10 years old at the moment, I think. Maybe
wow. He missed a sitter. He must be West Indian. He missed a sitter.
Actually. Yeah.
They're so comfortable on the ball. I mean, extremely comfortable. And he scored too with a brilliant header. Wow. It made the game look easy.
Yeah, the game is easy. The game is easy. If you could, I need to remove that, right?
Yeah. I could take it down, but
you take it down. Take it down, please. And this same group this same group of kids, this is let me show you them.
Somebody's asking where they are now. So show us that later. Show us later when they're older. Yeah.
That's all this. Is that Football Guru asking that?
No, Drew Ross asking where they're kids now. So we can show something where they are now.
Well,
or when they get older, I would say. Because some may be in different places.
I'm gonna show let's see if I can.
I don't know which one that was actually.
This is them. I'm gonna try to show them again around the same time period.
Right.
See if I could find it here. So this video must be in Chrome as well, and that's what.
I thought you had it on your phone, but then you have to be able to get it on Chrome, right? You have to get it on.
Yeah, I got to put it on Chrome.
Yeah.
Let me I'm gonna do that now.
Little patience, people. We're trying to show you example of games played by IDF, and the style of play is possession football because possession is a lifestyle. And those 7-year-old and 8 and 10-year-old, whatever 10-year-old they were showing you what the lifestyle looks like.
So this is them here. You can put this one up as well. This is them.
No, I think you got to put it. Okay. At this stage, yep, got it.
Yeah, around the same time period.
All right, so you got to play it.
Around the same time period. Is it good on the screen?
Yeah, it's good.
This is them around the same time period, doing, very comfortable doing it. This is before this is on our way to trying to make decisions to go overseas.
Okay.
This is when, we begin to have the confidence that we could go into that space and compete. And if you look at it, if you look at the movement of these players at the early age, you see football movement, right? They're moving sideways, they're running backward, they're moving forward, and all with the intention of being able to receive the ball so that they can do what they want to do.
Well, the most interesting one is the keeper, because we didn't start playing keeper football until later, right?
Yep.
And your keeper is playing with his feet.
This kid on the ball here right now, he ended up playing for the US and the Under-17 World Cup a few years later. I don't know if you want to play the whole thing, but
now we can look a little bit of it, and then we can switch to other videos. You have others, and then we can talk about some other stuff I want to talk about. But they're comfortable with the ball, though. I just say they're moving.
And was it Triple E asking where are they now?
No, Drew Ross was asking the question.
Asking that from this group, the one on the ball right now, he's at Atlanta United in the first team.
That's your son, isn't he?
Yeah.
What you say is my son?
But if you know,
he's just having fun out there. And he can shoot two people. I'm telling you, he can shoot. Kicking it from 10, 11 years old, he's putting his foot through it.
Yeah, very, very comfortable. I think if I've seen properly, the one that just tried to stop the ball from going out.
All right.
I think he's in the second team at I think at LA Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken, is where he is at the moment. So we've had some success from this group.
Your son played like an adult, seriously.
Yeah.
He's just so comfortable. He's like, you're trying to talk to me? You can't talk to me.
And that's what you're looking at there is if I reference what I said last night about the 4-year-old.
Right.
It's a club, you build a lot for the game. There was always balls on the floor in the house. There was always football on television. His older brother was playing, so he would go to the field with us and chase balls. He would go to games. So he was immersed in it. So he couldn't wait. He couldn't wait for this. So he was just having a good time.
Yeah. All right. So we can probably watch another minute, and then we switch to something else. Some more questions.
All right, let me get you something else here.
So here, Triple E is saying before we go further, we watch. You can answer while we're watching this. So the question is, how long it take for them to fully understand how to keep position, how to move in space?
How long does it take? Well, it depends on the group, right? It always have to do with the desire of the players, the commitment to the players. Of course, there's things you have to understand here. This is like, in my mind, it's no different than going into a math class, right? So how bad the kids want it. So we did this in 6 months.
You know what I notice? They only beat players to create space, or when they're pressured. They're always looking for multiple options when they're playing. Right? They're not beating you just to beat sake and be looking good. They're only beating you. That's a wicked left foot. They're only beating you to create space or to get themselves out of trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to give you another one to look at. Could you see that?
No, not yet.
You have to put it up, don't you?
Oh, the one you want to put this one up?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an older one because we can't. This is like 1940s because we can't really see good. Oh, it's getting better.
Yeah, this one is them as they get older. They're still playing 8v8, but it's probably a year later. No, actually, sorry, this is the wrong one. Sorry.
Is the wrong one? I'll take this on then. You can go back to this.
Yeah, take it on. Which
I
one?
can show this. Maybe you know what? Show this one because this one has a lot of passing. Look at these people. A lot of passing. Look how comfortable they are on the ball.
Yeah, this
Look at it. They go up there, come back. No, not going there.
And this is a different group, right? This is at a time when the first group, most of them have moved on into different spaces.
And the other team is trying to press, fruitlessly.
Yeah,
They're trying to press, but they can't get close to the ball. Look at that pass between the lines there. Didn't get to his destination, but it's a good idea. And then you seem like you have them press when they lose the ball.
Yeah, you have to. We want it back. We want to play with it. It's the joy in the game, right? And if you don't, it's hard to play like this if you don't believe that. You have to believe that because the players see it.
Right.
Right. The players and they could make mistakes here. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of, right? They could make mistakes. They have made mistakes. But I can live with it. The center back on the ball right now.
Yeah.
He passed the ball to a striker one time in a game that we lead in 1-0. And up to now he never heard from me about it because it's part of the risk of playing that way.
Right.
Do you want him to do that? No, but you have to accept that they're a risk. And sometimes, they're human beings and they're going to make mistakes and you have to live with that. What you try to do is minimize it.
So what age you say this? This is like 12, 10, 11?
No. This is older. This is, I think this is 17.
Okay. So this is in North Carolina. You're playing a team in North Carolina.
This team was from South Carolina, I believe, yeah. But this is in North Carolina. Okay. And what is interesting, I think this team played in the ECNL league, and what happens a lot of time is these teams play in these quote unquote higher level leagues, and then they don't know you, so they come and they feel like, oh, we don't know them there, nobody will run over them. And,
we should stop this a while ago. You see that play a while ago? People, oh damn, I missed it. I did it wrong. You see that he dribbled up the field, right? Let me go back a little bit. He dribbled up. He ran into trouble, and he turned. Look at this. He dribbled up. He didn't force it. He turned. You know what? I'm gonna cool it up and start over. Right? Instead of running and trying to beat the man and go lose it, he started to play over again. Let's recycle the ball.
Yeah, because the value is he understands that we don't want to give it up, and the space is closing. He can't get through there, so let's be safe. So you hear people talk about passing backward,
right?
And but that's part of the game, because to keep the ball, you need width and depth, right? So why do you have depth? You have depth in front of you and you have depth behind you. Why do you have it if you don't want to pass backward? I think the team with the ball is probably the kids probably having more fun, right?
Yeah. They're very comfortable on the ball. And they're at 17, you say?
Yeah, I think this was probably 17.
All right. Now they're really comfortable. They're moving the ball around. They spread the field. You see how wide those defenders were? They spread the field and create width.
When you make the pitch big, defenders have to make decision, right?
Yep.
Because team have principles. You make the pitch big when you're in possession. When you don't have it, you get compact. Now, bigger you make the pitches, the more ground they have to cover.
But that was a penalty. That was a penalty.
Yeah, that was a penalty. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we can take this down. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So that was an example of you showing what possession football looked like. Now, how do you balance technical ability, tactical awareness, and athleticism in a player development? When you're developing a player, all these attributes, how do you balance them to make sure you get the holistic player to progress well?
So when you look, young people go through different stages of development, just as human beings, right? And one of the things that I learned very early on is what they can take on board at different stages. One of the best U.S. soccer. Part of my education also involved taking courses at U.S. soccer, and they did one of the best pieces of work I've seen is that they created a manual, very thick manual, very, very thick. It's a big manual. I should have bring it to show you. And that having it, every single age group and their social, their physical, their psych, everything that about a young person, what you can expect at this stage of development, right? So before that even existed, though, what I did in starting the academy, I did a little bit of reading about the brain and how it receives information at young ages and whatever the case may be. And plus being in other environments, I learned that, look, between 9 and 12 years old, that's the period that, they're like sponges. You can give them information about technical work, but you can't go to them about tactical stuff in any big way like you would do with big men. So you teach the technical game there, and you also provide some tactical that's related to reading the game. So you play a lot of small-sided games that teaches them to read the game just by the nature of the game, right? The objectives of the game, it teaches them to read the game. So when they get to 12 years old, they should be technically very sound because it's required for the small-sided game. Know how to create space and that kind of stuff. If you want to use that one, I think I have it. I can put it up as well.
No, it's better than me putting it up.
Yeah,
I don't have YouTube. I put it up better. But no, I just want to show another one. And then we're gonna get into. No, continue talking. And we get into the Caribbean.
So you have to be aware of what their needs are at different stages of the development, how much you can give them, and you basically respond to how they are responding, because you may have a group that you think, okay, this is what they need at this age, but then they're responding better, they're learning faster, they're developing faster, and you just provide to them every day. You provide to them information that they can take on board. It's. I'm trying not to complicate it, but I try not to make it sound as simple as though, because a lot of people feel that, okay, well, I can do this, but it's not that simple.
So let's try this one also. Yeah.
The commitment from the adults in the environment, it must be committed to it.
All right. Let's try this one.
And this one is actually looking at Leon.
The music is loud and I can't turn it down. The music is loud, but go ahead. They're in the red, right? Andre, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
They're in the red. The music's in the loud, so put the music off it. Everyone, they're the side of the red, right?
Yeah.
These are like 17, 18 years old.
And this is the group that we spoke very good.
I can't hear you loud. You have to speak up. Let me stop for a second. What were you saying? Let me stop for a second.
No, I was saying that this is the group that we saw 6 months into the program.
Right. This is them now older.
Yes. Some of them are still in this space.
All right. So let's play this and just watch a little bit, people. Because that's music with this. I didn't take the music off. I probably should have done that. simple.
Frankie. So, could you see my cursor?
No.
The kid that's closest to me.
Yeah.
That's my center back in this game.
Okay.
Right? And all they're doing is looking for the spaces to the idea is keeping the ball, and we're gonna go wherever we need to go to make sure we keep the ball, that the player on the ball have options. And it gets a bit risky sometimes, and that's me trying to correct it there, trying to correct the shape, because I know who's most likely to lose it and who won't, right? So I'm starting to get a little bit.
So that's your side. That's your side and pointing. You're pointing like, take your ass back in the defense.
Yeah. No, the center back was one of the ones that was good on the ball.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you don't want somebody to lose it down there like how Miles Lewis Kelly did the other day, and then have to go fall and get a penalty. Get a red card. Yeah. No, interesting.
So this moment, you smell danger, and you just want to help them not get into trouble.
Yeah. Later on during the discussion, we should go into some of your training, so we can find some of your training videos also and go through some of that. But let's pivot. Let's pivot a little bit. Let me take this down. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about the Caribbean. Because from where I sit, the English-speaking Caribbean is struggling, especially when it comes to youth football. No English-speaking Caribbean team. I think Guyana went to the next round, right? But no, they didn't. None of them made the last World Cup for.
Guyana won the group
for the women, right?
Yes.
Right, but for the men, no English-speaking Caribbean team made the World Cup.
Uh-huh.
Right, and shockingly, Guyana got to the next round for women. Guyana seemed to be doing well because they played well in the boys too. But in terms of in Concacaf, no English-speaking Caribbean team is doing really well, which is interesting. So, what's the recurring weakness that you've noticed in Caribbean youth teams at the Concacaf level, or even just the Caribbean level? Frankly, they're not even Concacaf level.
Well, in full transparency, Ghana, people refer to Ghana's under 20 women team as Canada's second team. So a lot of the players came from Canada. but
they imported. Yeah. Oh, wait. They have no quota. They have no quota, it appears.
No, it doesn't.
They must not have any quota.
So, but and you can't vex with them, right? If they have access to the players, they got to use it. Look, I do believe, and some people may not be happy about it, but I do believe that we first have to believe that the boys in the Caribbean, the boys and girls in the Caribbean could learn to play football, could be sophisticated about the game. Then we have to provide the resources. We have to really be honest about it. Make the commitment, provide the resources, create the environment, right, that can improve our players. We have to have leagues for them to play in. We have to have a way that we want to play, and we got to have coaches that is committed to doing that. When you spend 4 months with a team in schoolboy football, for example, just trying to win games, they almost behave like a pro league. They play today and they have 2 or 3 days to get ready for the next game. You can't really correct anything because first is recovery, because there's physical there's physical tiredness and there's mental tiredness. So you can't, the day after the game, you think in recovery, you can't even deal with you shouldn't deal with the video of the game from yesterday because they're mentally tired. You don't want to start to put information on them then, any new information in particular. So next thing you know, you're preparing for the next game. So you're not developing players. And a 15, 16-year-old player should be learning to play the game. Shouldn't be concerned with that the ultimate goal, the ultimate objective is to win a football match. Somebody must win the game. And if I'm better than the opponent, I expect to win it because we do the work during the day. But that must not be, you have to be teaching football, 4 or 5 days a week.
So having said that, what we think about from a coaching standpoint, because we hear a lot about now a license and this license and that license, and yet the players we're turning out still remains the same. So what are the biggest coaching deficiencies that you see in Caribbean football? Is there a gap in the attributes we talk about, which is tactical discipline, technical ability, and mentality that affects their performance?
I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of the youth footballs.
You watch too much football, frankly.
Yeah,
but anyway,
yeah. I don't feel that way, but I watch a lot of football. I watch football in Trinidad, in Jamaica, all over the Caribbean. I watch all the tournaments that just went, boys and girls. And you can watch the game. For example, the way the groups are set up, you can watch a game, and because of the performance in that game, it would not translate. It would not translate to the next level, right? It's just impossible. So if you look at Trinidad game against Canada the other day, my observation was that, in the 2 games prior, I'm looking at the game and I'm saying, if Canada beat a team 20 and you beat them 7, already you can tell that there's a problem there, because the reason that Canada could beat them 20 is because they have a set of things that they're doing, that they keep repeating, that they have objectives that they're trying to achieve in the game, and they're doing it efficiently so they can score that much goals. And we lost 12-0 to Canada, and the conversation was we were punished for the mistakes we made during the game. And my argument that if you lost 12-0 in an international game, it's not because of the mistakes that you made in the game. There are deeper issues beyond the in-game mistakes, right?
I find that interesting. You were punished because of the mistake you made in the game?
Yeah.
Well, with just one big mistake? Wasn't it one big mistake you being out there in the first place? I mean, if you get 12-0, that means they scored, a goal every 7-8 minutes?
7 minutes, 7 minutes, 20 seconds, or whatever it is. So for me, you got to look at, you got to guess there's a disparity in resources, right? The player development structure need to be looked at, right? The way the program is managed, I'm sure it's different from Canada. And so to look at a game against Canada where you get 12 and also see it as a measuring tool, it doesn't reflect. It's not the way to look at it. Some people would say that it's naive to look at it that playing Canada and losing 12-0 is some type of measuring stick for where we are. You understand? So I think there's a lot of things that need to be sorted out, but I think it starts with the belief that the young people that we are responsible for could learn to play the game.
So I'm not sure how to respond to this, but I'm gonna keep myself cool. I'm gonna drink some water. People. I'm gonna drink some water. People, I have to drink some water. I'm drink some water.
You want me to help you with that?
Yeah. Help me. Please help me.
I don't know if he's been on. So all of the things that he's mentioning here, grass fees, lighting, and other amenities, the video that you were just playing, the opponents have those things.
Yeah. You're making a point, which is it's not just the resources and the feel and all that. It's the coaching. It's the coaching. Yeah.
The
so Football Guru, who is probably related to the technical director, I think he is, or something close to that. So he doesn't want to get beaten because he's trying to protect him. Doesn't want to accept the fact about the incompetence of the administrations in the Caribbean. Don't let me go off in his diatribe, football guru. We're trying to have Andre talk about this. It's incompetence that allow us not to be able to coach, have good coaching, and go play football. Andre told you he went to Barcelona. He had Liverpool people. He went to Man City. We stare on our ass in Jamaica and in Trinidad and don't do nothing and then complain and teach each other how to play football when we don't know how to do it in the first place. Sorry, Andre. I had a moment there.
He's probably sitting at home saying, I'm going to go on Cranky and see if I can get him.
I know what he does. He comes here to give me, but he's missing the boat because he's clueless when it comes to this. Because as you're saying, we all have the same facilities. We all playing in North Carolina where we're playing, and then look at how I play football, possession versus the other teams, right? That's what we're saying. But anyway,
we can't hide from that. At the end of the day, I have a very good friend of mine who coaches women football. He's just dominating the space at the ECNL level. They possess the ball. They beat everybody. He wins the league. He's been winning the league for the past 8 years in different age groups. Because he knows how to teach that kind of football. He's committed to it, and he's just dominating the space.
Yeah. It's just such an antagonist. Let's go further though, because if you think about, I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm gonna say, if you think about football, because I see how your kids play at 9, 10 years of football guru. Go back and watch the previous tapes. 9, 10 years old, they comfort on the ball, they comfort in space, they know when to recycle the ball, they know how to move, they know how to spread the field, right? Mm-hmm. That means they're being coached, and we go through some of your training methods. Yeah. So what tactical improvement do you think the Caribbean need to compete at a high level? Because we hear football gurus saying it's the field, it's the money. What do you think tactically they need to improve on?
When you say tactically, what do you mean?
So it's if I'm going to learn how to play football, I have to know the fundamentals, and as I progress through the stages, I have to be able to improve in all aspects of the game. My awareness, my movement, my passing, my understanding, right?
Right. And we have to create an environment where they're introduced to those concepts at the right times. And we use our methodologies, we use small-sided games. I believe in I live and die by small-sided games, right? Games that create lots of chaos sometimes because the game is chaotic. And the way I explain it is the game is chaotic. We create chaos in training and provide objectives that they can organize it. So they're organizing the game despite the chaos. You know what I'm saying? So for example, we may have an exercise, a small-sided game.
Sorry.
We do it with 2 balls, right?
Right. Yeah.
Some people tell you, well, that's not realistic. And that's fine. They can, it's okay that they feel that way about it. But with 2 balls, there's so many things happening that the player, you can't help but benefit, right? Having your head on a swivel, making decisions, right? Knowing who's available to you, what your options are in the moment. There's a lot of things happening in those small-sided games that benefit the player when the game get quote unquote realistic. When there's 2 goals, it's directional, and there's 1 ball, right? They have acquired a mindset, a mentality, an education that allows them now to make that game look easier. What you're looking at in that video, despite the opponent pressing, the team in possession has a different understanding about the game. The game is easy for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up some. So would this be a good example? You're playing in the middle here.
That's a 3v1 exercise. So we're learning to move, to utilize all of the space that's available in the grid. There are 4 grids there, and the 2 guys in red, they are defending from the middle of the field. I believe in this particular one, they had to put together, if you count it, maybe 6 passes before they can go to the grid.
Right.
So They are learning to utilize all the space, make sure the person on the ball have two options, right? They're moving properly and under pressure from the defender. And that is part of the process, right? That's part of the process.
Right.
In that small space, knowing where you need to be in relation to where the ball is in possession to make sure that the person on the ball have options and we can keep it. And then from that, you will go out into other exercises that forces them to, that require them to implement.
So Football Guru is making excuses for Jamaica. Football Guru, I've seen your under 17 play. I've seen your under 20 play. And you talk about they have good coaches that teach them. They've done really well in Concacaf, Football Guru. I think they're in the World Cup. We should go watch them. I think you should go watch them, Football Guru. I think they made the World Cup. You should go watch them.
Well, what's interesting is that nobody is at least I didn't see that.
Football Guru, go watch them play. They are in the World Cup. I'm sure. Those under 15 talking about, under 17 or whatever, under 20 players that got 15 are from the US, Cuba, and Costa Rica, and we just watched the under 17 play. I think they're in the World Cups. Football Guru, go watch them play. I'm sure they did. They have to be because you have brilliant coaches. Go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
Yeah. No. It's an interesting comment because it seems that nobody is we having a conversation about how we could improve things, and I think he's suggesting
and he's trying to make excuses because he supports the people who are incompetent. That's all it is. Well, so look, Football Guru just as incompetent as they are.
At the end of the day, the thing that I think needs to change first. Last night I listened to an interview on Sportsmax. I can't remember the gentleman's name. He says he's the chairman of Cavaliers, I think it is. And they asked him about the stadium, the national stadium being ready for the game. And I was impressed with the effort that they are putting in to try to get the facility ready to entertain Inter Miami and Messi. And I was thinking for a moment, wow, do we put that same effort into our people, right? If Humberland is going to play Cavaliers at that facility, are we making the same effort to make sure the facility is at that level, right? Whether it's the National Stadium or another place. So I think that's one of the things that have to change. We have to first start to believe that we need to give our people the best environment.
Yeah, let me address this. Football Guru. So Andre came and gave you experience. I've never talked about my experience on this channel, really, in generalities. So I don't like to do that. But here's my problem with that. Football Guru, you guys know what you know. And actually what you know is actually limited, but you don't know it's limited. That's your problem. You haven't been exposed. You haven't gone international. You haven't had that broad experience. You haven't worked in the best companies in the world. So your knowledge and your know-how is limited, but you think you know everything. And that's what's sad. Because when you challenge me about what I know how to audit and do it no better than FIFA auditors, I'm sitting here just laughing at you. Because you don't know what you don't know. And what you think you know is limited. And it's frustrating to me to see people like you and Paul Rivers come here and say your crap that you talk about because you don't know. You're limited. There are levels to this thing. I'm going to call you out. And I'm getting frustrated with you. There are levels in life. And when you don't know your level, it's a very sad day when you don't know your level. You just saw the football his team play, and you're challenging and questioning it and critiquing because you're trying to be protective of something which cannot be protected. We haven't made any World Cup in Jamaica when we have better athletes, sometimes good players. For the last 2 years, the under 17, under 20 girls and boys got knocked out even when FIFA tried their best to make us get in the World Cup. And people like yourself are the problem because you keep trying to defend the indefensible. It's so frustrating hearing you. That's why you guys are killing the country, because you're clueless and you're incompetent. And I'm tired of the nonsense. It's so frustrating listening to people like you just sitting here thinking, where does morons come from? Like morons. And you can hear me get mad about it because it's frustrating. Because you know people like me who know better, Football Guru, and I've been there, I've seen it, I've experienced certain things in life, I've worked with the best people and the best minds, and people like you come and talk your nonsense. You just shake your head and say, you know what? Maybe we should just give up and don't even have these conversations. Because morons like you are the ones in position of power doing things, and you don't know what the hell you're doing. Sorry, Andre. A little diatribe. No. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
I think his objective is to create chaos.
Yeah, but they're the ones in position to make decisions, and they don't know what they're doing. He's like Conflict's boss, who is clueless, who has been the technical director of the JFF and the chair of the technical committee, and all he thinks about is Cavaliers. So he sent me something the other day because he and I had a back and forth where he sent me something with Messi and tickets. I'm gonna call this out, and I laugh, and I basically sent him the list that showed we have made any World Cup because he's focused on Messi and his money. He don't give a damn about Jamaica's football. That's what I care about, football guru. Jamaica's football, not Rudolph Speed or you or any one of those cronies that you part of the guys are. Because you guys are killing the football, moron. Andre, what are we talking about? Future and vision, Andre. Future and vision. Moron.
No,
Jesus.
No,
I know. I'm gonna clip this too. I'm gonna clip this. So Andre, let's talk about some of the things that this moron is talking about. What role does infrastructure, facilities, academy, scout network play in youth development, and how can Caribbean nations improve?
In based on my experience, in my opinion, it's extremely important. And anybody who have been exposed and want to do the right thing by young people, they would understand that it is extremely important. Else, if it wasn't, then football clubs around the globe in Europe, they wouldn't be spending millions of dollars to create the type of facilities they create to develop players. I think not having it hinders the development of players. It makes it extremely difficult for them to learn things at a level that could take them into spaces anyway. You see, we put players into spaces sometimes and we don't understand why it doesn't work out, right? It could be a number of reasons, but sometimes you look at players, you know, I don't know about you, but I look at games sometimes and I can check the last 3 passes were bad passes. Why? The ball is bumping, going to the player. The ball is played in the opposite direction to where the player is trying to go. It got to him, but it slowed the game down, right? And these little details are important in terms of becoming a quality player. You know, so it's just a different mindset. And some people believe, well, we can get by with anything. I would be suspicious of that. We can't get by with anything because getting by, we don't get results in the end.
So what advice would you give to football administrators, coaches in the Caribbean, young players looking to elevate their game in all the facets?
Well, it would depends on what their intentions are, right? It's all about their intentions, what they want to get out of the game. It's I believe that young people could learn. And I believe as adults, we have a responsibility to create an environment to educate them, to use the game to educate them, not just as footballers, but as human beings, right? Educate their character and that kind of stuff. And so we have to want to do that. And we have to want to do that to the best of our ability. We have to want the best for our children, for Cranky's son, just like I would want for my son. And I think that's the place we need to start. We need to stop. It seems as though we cut corners, right? National teams are still preparing 3 months before to go to a tournament.
You know what's funny? I haven't heard any of these people say, you know what? I've sat down and talked to this excellent coach for this period of time. I've taken my team to do excellent. They go overseas and they play games once in a while and they go back home and they don't learn anything. It's part of my frustration.
That's huge because I was going to say to you just now, all of that time that I'm learning from these guys, I had a D license, right? So I acquired all this information and still went on and got certified, got licensed, and that helped too. That played a part in how I see the game as well. It contributed to it, right? And so I think if you have a license, that's great, but I think you need to go and sit with people, spend time. If you go to Europe, you see guys from Asia at an Arsenal practice in the rain, watching, taking notes, learning. It's very, very important. If you can't bring them to you, you have to go into the space. And I think getting that type of exposure, right, you now have to come back and be willing to implement it. It's like getting a coaching license. You get a coaching license. A lot of coaches, I hear instructors talk about it all the time, don't go back into the environment and continue to do what you've been doing. You know, take something back with you, make an adjustment.
Right.
So we have to. I think it starts with what we want for our young people. That's where I think it starts.
What's your hope for the football in the Caribbean? We haven't touched administration, right?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with the administration in the Caribbean? Let's get the elephant. Let's touch the elephant in the room.
I think for me, what happens on the football field is directly connected to administration, right? If you don't have good administration, it'd be difficult to get good results on the field. And as we just saw in the youth tournaments, nobody qualified for the next round. We have Guyana going into the next round, maybe under 20. You have Trinidad under 17 is going to be, the first game is going to be against the USA, right? So they progress also. So Jamaica is the only team that didn't progress anybody in any other groups. So Trinidad progress under 17, what? Yeah,
boys?
Trinidad get 3 more games. The under 17 women team is still
under 17 women. Sorry, it's women, right? It's not men. So men just go straight to World Cup. Okay.
And it's in a group with the USA, and they're going to play the USA first, and you know, it's going to be difficult after that. That's the reality, right? It's almost like you're going to be eliminated after that because it's one team from the group is going to go through. I think it is. Well,
at least they got to go play the US. Jamaica ain't even go play.
Yeah, it's so you've got to look at the administration, look at the leadership. I do believe that if you don't have a strategic plan and a long-term development plan, it's impossible to.
Does Trinidad have one? Because Jamaica doesn't have one.
I've not seen one. I've asked about one. I've not seen one. Because
I asked for Jamaica one, they told me they have different plans for different things. I'm like, where's your holistic long-term plan? Nothing.
That's not the way it works.
You go look at Spain. You can find Spain online, can't you?
Yeah. Just yet I was looking at England's zone from 2024 to 2028. Right. All of those countries do a plan over a 4-year period, and it's available because it's not a secret.
These are the people football guru defending. They don't even have a strategic plan that we can all look at and say, you know what, this makes sense. Nothing. They come up with a plan that looked a half-assed plan when they were running for election. As soon as the election done, they go back to who they are. And then we come here, make excuses in these forums for them. And when we complain, and when we talk about this, we talk that we are divisive and we're XYZ. We are divisive, we're critical, we're this. And we're just asking for things that we're used to seeing, given where we operate, as to how people who are thoughtful, strategic, deductive, have sense how they operate. But no, we're the ones who are critical. We're the ones who are divisive. What did somebody call me? What did Crown Fitzball call me? Deranged. We're the ones who are deranged because we're asking for accountability. Did Trinidad come out when they failed to qualify for the boys and give an explanation to the public?
No, there was no explanation. There have not been an explanation for anything.
That's Jamaica too.
And now
it's speaking Caribbean thing.
It's carnival season now, so nobody is probably even paying attention.
Conflict's boss came out and said about 2 years ago, whenever a tournament is done, a post-mortem is done, a report is given to, must be a technical committee, then they make some decisions, right? They don't always publish to the public. We as a stakeholder, well, maybe they don't think of us as stakeholders. They don't even think about us at all, frankly, except when they want our money. They don't come and explain anything to us. There is no post-mortem done. There is no perspective provided. There is no plan about how we're going to change this going forward. Silence. The only time they came out is when the under 14 won, when the under 20 got 15. So they came out trying to muffle it and try to cover it up. Give us some good story, which it was in the Caribbean, right? It wasn't something that occurred in Concacaf where you pass the Caribbean level. So we're treated as stepchild, right? And then they want fans to support the program. That's the part of my frustration. You can't ask me to support you when you don't support me. Because my pleasure is about how you perform and how I can get I can get good, I get happy, I can cheer. But when you fail, you go silent. And your failure is a continuum. So let's go back to IDF, Andre. Where does IDF go from here? 5 to 10 years from now, what do you expect for IDF?
What we'd like to accomplish, to be honest with you, is to have a facility and have kids have access to kids more than the 2 hours you see them in the afternoon. where they can train in the morning before going to school, come back, train in the evening. That's what I personally would like to accomplish, because I think that if you have more time and bring in some more expertise, bring in people who share a similar vision, have knowledge, because at the end of the day, there's so much information out there. Like when you take pro football now, you see teams have a set piece coach, right? So you want to bring in people with different expertise that you can, and when it comes to developing players, that could add to what you're already doing. That's what I like to accomplish ultimately. Don't ignore it, Cranky. Ignore it.
Do you plan to collaborate with the Caribbean? Do you plan to collaborate with the Caribbean federations? Can you hear me, Andre?
Yeah.
I tried my best.
Yeah. What was the question?
Do you plan to collaborate with Trinidad Federation? Do you plan to have any collaboration with them?
I personally don't feel that there's any opportunity there because of how the football is run. I think, and to be honest with you, I feel I may have too much information. But when you consider the conditions that the environment that's created for 3 months to prepare a team to go to a tournament, no international practice games before, they underprepared teams going into an environment to try to get results, represent the country. You already know that has the potential for failure. So it's like one of the things that I see happen, we bring people from outside, right? And especially from Europe, and they come in and they say to us, well, we're here to learn from you. I find that to be very disingenuous, right? We're here to learn from you. You could come in and try to understand how things are done. But if you're coming from an environment and you know better, you must be committed to making changes, right? Because you know the importance of having good pitches. You know the importance of creating a competitive environment, a proper environment. And if it doesn't exist, you have to want to improve what is there. But I hear people come in all the time and say, well, we're here to learn from you. And I struggle with that all the time. I struggle with that. If you're going into a space that you know is not up to standard, your job must be to improve it. And the people that bringing you in, they should be accepting of, well, that's why you're here. You're here to help us improve.
Right. So
I've brought people from overseas and I've watched them coach. Right. We brought people from clubs overseas to spend time with us, to do a camp. And I don't coach if ever I do a camp. I allow them to do it and I try to learn from them. And the reason why I allow them to do it, because it's not about me, it's about me giving the kids a different experience. So I bring somebody in who may say something that I've been saying, they say it a different way, and then a couple of kids get it, right? And that's beneficial. So, but I don't know that I've not sought after any opportunity. I think because I understand how football is run, and I don't know that it would put you in a place to be successful.
But you have a lot of knowledge that you can impart to the Trinidad FA or to the kids there. Why wouldn't they want to leverage your knowledge and know-how to help them progress? Because it's not about the MA, it's not about the admin, it's not about the coach, it's about the kids, right? It's always going to be about the kids.
Yep.
So we put the kids in the best position to be, because frankly, those federations have failed. By the way, people have one thing to say. I think I've lost a subscriber tonight in Football Guru. No, I have. And here's why I say this, because he likes to be part of the show. He likes his comment to be put up. So until he shows himself, his comments will not be put up. I won't ban him. I'm not doing that. But I will not put his comments again ever up until he come from the dark and show himself. Because when you hide, you're a fake. You can call me vindictive. Like I see it. When you hide, that means you have something to hide. I'm here out here in the public domain, expressing myself and go by my perspective. I don't hide. When I say what do I say, I don't hide. I say it. So if you're going to keep hiding, then keep hiding. We're going to hide your comments and we're going to hide you. Sorry, Andre. Keep going.
No, but I think that's a fair comment. I think that's a fair comment. So he's now asking a same question right now. You may take his question. I'm not taking any more questions from him. All right, I told you, I'm dead serious. Yeah. Okay.
I've lost him tonight. I have one less subscriber. I can do without. Show yourself or don't show yourself. Show yourself or stay invisible. Because you're invisible, we can't see you, we can't hear you. We don't want to see your comments. Is there anything I haven't covered, Andre, you'd like to cover?
No, I think
you know what? We missed something. Did we miss some training?
The training stuff.
Let me see if I can add something up here. So was that the goalkeeper in the middle there a while ago?
Yeah, that was the goalkeeper, yeah.
So the goalkeeper is in all the drills?
Yeah, the goalkeeper participates in everything. Okay. I mean, there are times that they will do the goalkeeper training, but they participate in small-sided games because a lot of the small-sided games is positional, small-sided game, right? So you go from rondos to positional game as part of our methodology. So when we play these small-sided games, if you're a goalkeeper or center back or even a striker, you find yourself on top of the grid, right? Because most time it's a rectangle. It might be 10 by 12, 20 by 25, whatever space you use. And a right back would be at the side of the pitch. A right winger would be at the side of the pitch. So you put them in these small-sided games and in the positions that they would be playing when the pitch gets bigger so that they could learn the concept.
Awesome. So people
the keeper is involved in all of those games. So over time, he quite comfortable with the ball at his feet in tight spaces, taking chances.
Right. Because you utilize the keeper in the whole process, don't you?
Yeah.
The keeper has to be able to play with his feet. Yeah.
He's got to be part of it. If you like when I watch your beloved Arsenal, and you watch
beloved Arsenal.
Yeah, you can't run now. and you see the goalkeeper. If you notice the goalkeeper, he's part of the attack. He's changing when the defenders have the ball. He's changing his angle and putting himself in positions away from the goal. He's involved in the small-sided games and training, and they essentially is playing with 12 people in the field.
I disagree with you. He's not a goalkeeper anymore. I saw him on the halfway line. People say center half. He's a center half. I saw him on the halfway line the whole thing Saturday. Was he playing the halfway line Wednesday?
Enjoy that stuff.
In fact, he actually had a ball where he shifted, man, didn't he? He had to beat it forward. He was so far up the field.
No, that stuff is exciting. It's entertaining. It's
Yeah.
it's risky, right? And it's just part of what we call the beautiful game. Some people think the game has changed a lot, and it's too structured because they enjoyed what Ronaldinho brought to the table and Neymar, but I think that still exists, right? That exists
Right.
maybe under the picture. But the way the game is played now, I really enjoy it because I know that it takes a football education you can't play that kind of football off of instinct. Like
Right.
my opinion, Maradona and them did. You can't play off of instinct. You've got to understand what's taking place.
Okay. Guys, if you want to call in, I have any question, because we're gonna close this down soon. We're getting seasoned. Well, I'm getting seasoned, so I can't stay up as late as I used to. So, if you want to call in, the number is running across the screen. You'll make questions for Andre. Don't ask me any football question because I don't know anything about football. Ask Andre the football question, technical question. I'm just a YouTuber who don't understand football, as I've been told.
We would try to answer.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Cavalier is playing Inter Miami? What are your thoughts on that game? You think they have a chance?
It's difficult to see that. It's difficult to see that. I know that they're going to try. I've heard the coach say that he believes that they're in a better position this year. I know they have not been as competitive in the.
They bought iPads. They bought some iPads. Because last year, they bought some iPads this time. Because last year, remember, it was about. That's not going to do it. But I remember last year coming about the iPads. They had iPads and they didn't. So they bought some iPads this year.
I saw Inter Miami twice already for the season, and they're not much different from last year. They could concede goals, but you have to be. You have to be good, to score on them. They if you have a decent team, they could concede goals, but they also could score a lot of goals, right? They have guys who know how to score goals, and it's hard to see that outcome. If you see anything else, I think you're grabbing at straws.
But I have heard, and I'm not trying to be facetious, I've heard Jamaica Cavalier have Roberto Carlos and Capo in their team. So I expect to see those two players prominent against Inter Miami. Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Good evening. Speaking to Shane Brown.
Shane Brown, what do you have to say, Shane?
Well, calling to big up Coach Andre, and I'm glad, the work has always been out there, but now, people get to see it, in the Caribbean,
Right.
First time I met Coach Andre was in 2010. We was at a football pitch and I just showed up for pickup. And he had his two youths with him and a couple other kids. And at that moment, just the way the youths were playing, I knew he had a lot to offer,
Right.
I've even tried to get him into the JFF space, throw his name in there for years.
Okay.
But just so you know, I'm part of the coaching staff of IDF.
Oh, you are. Okay.
And the work, and I'm telling you from a neutral perspective, the work that Fortune does, it's amazing. I'm talking about from the kids that we get. We don't get the kids with the best talents, best athletes. Every now and then, we'll run into a kid or two that, have not up their raw materials. But everything you see in that video, man, that's his work, So it's not like kids that born like a phenom that just come into the space and,
Okay.
All of those kids are kids that they wouldn't have a chance nowhere else. Literally. They wouldn't have a chance anywhere.
Right.
So I always tell him, I said, man, you have enough body of work to be demanding, to be heard by Trinidad. And if Trinidad don't want to hear, I know what he could do with the young talents that's on the island. I know that.
Right.
You know, but it's to get into that space, it's too much. You know, I just saw a guy ask about if we're gonna be at the MLS next level. You know,
Right.
and for us, all those things are all acronyms. You know, I mean, there's so many players that come out of our space, and we play in whatever league we play in. When they get to the age, they're all competent enough to go play into those spaces. So, I mean, we're not talking down about MLS or ECNL or any of that, you know, but at certain age, you want to be where you're learning the game, you know?
Right.
And you know, a lot of parents are still caught up with the acronym, you know, but for what we do, I don't think we'll ever turn down a player. Any player that comes into our space, we know we have something to offer them.
Okay.
You know, we have kids that come here from Jamaica to play from time to time, you know, and they represented themselves well. They represent the club well, you know. So, yeah, I just, you know, hopefully, you know, you do more of these things and you know, people can see that all the football that we're talking about, the kids on the islands are good enough to be taught to play the football that way.
Right. So we've talked tonight about, is it infrastructure? What's the drawback for the Caribbean? If you look at the Caribbean football, you're from Jamaica. I assume from the accent. What do you think is the biggest drawback for those kids? Jamaica didn't make any of the youth with a second round Concacaf or the World Cup. What do you think? And we're saying they have raw materials. So what's the biggest drawback, you think?
I mean, I don't think there's a day go by that me and Fortune don't talk about it. I mean, we could talk about, you know, sounds cliche, sounds like a broken record, you know? I mean, the environment, the know-how, belief, you know, want to give the kids a chance, want to move away from the system of, you know, the haves versus the have-nots, you know, because, you know, I grew up playing football in Jamaica, and I understand that very well. You know, a lot of the things that I see now, I was a victim of some of that well myself, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, the truth is, even though they made strides, I don't think they've done enough, you know, because when we talk about raw materials, we're talking about, you could walk around anywhere in Jamaica right now, see an 8-year-old, 9-year-old doing things with the football that it's at an advanced level, but those things never get nurtured or developed, you know?
Right. Okay.
You know, I mean, there's so many youths on the island that talent-wise, you know, they have it, you know, and they just, for lack of a better word, a lot of them get used, you know,
Right.
in games, and then you get to a certain age, then there's nothing else for you. You know, I mean, obviously, there's cases where kids come here, get to play in schools, and you know, but they could strive for so much more. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
We have to believe in them, and Shane, I appreciate you sharing that the point that he made about who we get coming in. If some of those players that you were just looking at, if you saw them at 9 years old, most people would turn them away. They would put them at the lowest teams, right? But we, because of what we do and how we do it and our belief, and that's why my belief is that the kids in the Caribbean could learn football, and that's what Shane is sharing. If we can do that with kids that you look at them at 9 years old, somebody said to reference about my son, my oldest son, about his balance, right? The way he moved at 9 years old. Those kids that we're getting in, most of the times, they don't have that. They don't have what we like to call the raw material. So to take them and get them in a space where a kid now start thinking, Coach, I want to play in college or I want to play pro. I mean, that's a tremendous achievement in our space. And I enjoy that, because at some point in time, the kid comes back either with a email, a text, a phone call, right, and expresses gratitude for the work we have done. And I got to tell you that Shane is, ever since we met, he's been very supportive and committed to the work that we do. Is somebody that that I rely on heavily. I don't know what it is, but I get along with Jamaicans quite well.
I noticed that. I wonder why. I mean, well, you want to be because you want to be Jamaican, but unfortunately, you're not. But you want to be Jamaican. I mean, actually, it may be fortunate that you're not, because we wouldn't want you to be Jamaican, and you may be like football guru.
we even explore the idea. We even explore the idea of.
We go get him citizenship, Shane. We go get him citizenship, Shane. We go get him citizenship.
Yeah, but we even explore the idea of, coaching a team down there, schoolboy football. I mean, even we spoke to Premier League teams just based on different people that I know. I mean, it's those. If the situation is right, but we understand that there's a lot comes with that,
Right.
Good, bad, and the ugly.
Yes, that is true. That is true. You know Jamaica, so you know how that works.
Yeah, it's the kind of standards that you're required to try to be successful. I'm not sure if everybody's ready to make that commitment. It's not something that you could do half-hearted.
Right.
So,
Okay.
You see it, and I mean, the mindset is just not. It's not there. It's not there. I mean, and I see it from just sometimes trying to help out back home and trying to do certain things, but it's just people that's running the place. They have everybody else just eating out of their hands. It's unfortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Shane. Well, Shane, we appreciate the call, sir.
Yeah, man. Take care.
All right, thanks. That was Shane. Uh-huh.
If Frankie doesn't know and Andre doesn't know what is holding Caribbean Youth back, I wish somebody would just ask for the link and come and help us. That's all I would say about that.
As I've said before, people, I one thing I try to do in life is stick to my word. Anybody who knows me know I stick to my word. If I say A, then it's A. And the worst thing that can happen is if I go silent on you, it's never a good thing. When I go silent, there's somebody who is in the YouTube space that you guys know who disrespected me a couple of times. 2 of them actually. I just went silent. I'm not gonna be in the fighting and going back and forth. I may get mad initially, but after that, I'm just gonna just go on with my life because it's not worth the effort. So right now, I've moved on. I keep telling people, it's when you're dating a woman and she goes silent on you, that's the worst thing. But I'm not a woman, but I do believe in the silent treatment, so I'm silent. Go ahead. I do believe in silent treatment. Juras wants to start something. And I go silent, it's not a good thing. I'm telling you, it's not a good thing.
If you're involved in football and you're responsible for the development of young people, young players, you can't do it part-time. It's not a part-time job. Sometimes, and my wife is also part of the academy. She handles the administrative stuff and uniforms and registration and all that stuff. And she's pretty committed to, what mothers are like, right? To the kids. And sometimes, I'm trying to watch a movie and I have to answer questions about the kids, right? And I'm just trying to get a little break from, but that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes to make sure that they have every single thing that they need. Every single thing.
So I find that comment by Juras interesting. I remember a CEO on Wall Street. They were talking to him about how much. I think he made $70 million that year. And they were talking about. He said he was doing God's work. God paid well. So I know he's making $70 million, Andre, but God paid well. Anything else, Andre? Before we
No, I appreciate you creating the opportunity to have the conversation. I would like, when I sit to watch the Caribbean compete at the Concacaf level, if we can get to that level, I would just like to see more than what we're seeing now. I'd like to see success. Almost every tournament we go into, a group of 4, a group of 5, there's 3 or 4 teams we expect to beat, and then there's one that we know is going to dominate us. If Guyana could take a bunch of kids from Canada, I don't know what's the longevity of, utilizing that way to bring success. But you develop players on the island, and you take the very best of in the diaspora that could come and enhance your team, make your team better. But if you're not developing players on the island, and you have players that could get your passport and come and help make the team successful, you want to do that, because success in sports is directly tied to the pride of the people. People are prideful to see their country successfully qualify for a World Cup. It exposes play. When you think about a U17 team not qualifying for a Youth World Cup or a U20 team, you just lost a generation of players, ideally. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You lost a generation of players because they don't get the chance. The Olympics, you have all of these countries that get players that go through get those experiences. I was thinking today, I was talking to someone, and I was thinking, and that's why it's important that we develop players in the island, because we got to think, maybe you would know about this, or somebody in the space would know about this, but just think about, one of the coaches was sharing me that of all the players, since he went back as far as 2008, that came from the US in particular and played for Trinidad, let's say at the under 17 level, right? There's just about 2 or 3 names that he can think of that is still playing in the game at a high level.
Wow.
Right? The rest of them, just kind of disappeared. So, and of the 3, 2 of them carry my name, right? So,
so the fortune name lives on.
Yeah.
You're fortunate. But yeah, go ahead.
It's I don't know. We just have to do a better job, and I think it starts with us just wanting the best for our children and committing ourselves to do the work full time, so that we could develop football in the island, to make, whether it's in Trinidad or Jamaica, to make the people proud. That's what it's about. You just.
So let me just say this. Yeah, let me make a point actually, which is, I hear this question about sustainability of leveraging diaspora players. My philosophy is this: we should develop players wherever they are, and the ones on the island also. But I can tell you this: given the volume of migration, for example, to the US by the Caribbean in general, whether it's Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad, whatever, you will have a generational amount of players in the next 15, 20, 25 years who may want to play for the island, and it can be sustainable. You don't want it that way. You want to make sure every kid get an opportunity to develop their talent and can play for their country, whether they're local or overseas, if they're citizens. But I don't buy this notion anymore. I used to think about that. I can understand England, because the migration there it's not stopped completely, but it's a trickle, whereas where it is today in the US and Canada. That's why Guyana probably can have a whole Canadian team, because it's mass migration from the Caribbean that goes to Canada and come to the US. Mass migration. So you will be able to make it sustainable for at least another 1 or 2 generations, actually, until it gets to the grandfather, great-grandfather, 2 or 3 generations from now. So, what should happen is there should be programs in place by these MAs to develop football on the islands. And you hear me call out certain people, they're just not good enough. They're not good enough, or they're not focused on the country. They're focused on their individual situations. And how can somebody can have a business? They have a club where they're the owner, where they're the technical director, where they're the coach. They have a credit union business, and then they want to run football in the country. Like, really? You have that flexibility? You have that much time? you commit enough time and effort and know-how and acumen to that that doesn't work. This is not a part-time job. It's a full-time job, especially when it's not working. Right? Especially when it's not working, then you realize you need better people in the seats. And if someone's going to say, well, Cranky, you're bad mind and Cranky, you're this, I'm going to say to them, first of all, I have nothing to gain from this. That's the first thing. My whole objective is to see is about excellence. I'm gonna give you an example, Andre, before we conclude.
Yeah.
I used to work with somebody in public accounting, right? Mm-hmm. One of the top 4 firms in the world. Uh-huh. And I watched how she operated. She actually was a little bit younger than me because I went to the military and came out, right? And I watched how, because that environment, there was racism in the environment. There's no doubt. You have to be better to excel. But I realized, Andre, that see, when you're excellent, people gravitate towards you.
Yep.
And she was almost like beyond excellent. First of all, you couldn't outsmart her, you couldn't outwork her. So you were like at a disadvantage. If you work 20 hours, she's going to work 25 hours, right?
Yeah.
And we used to have conversation all the time. And one thing she told me was this. I told her, well, you know, I'm here. I don't want to make partners. So I want to go someplace else. And she said, well, who cares if you want to make partner? What you should focus on is that whatever attributes to make a partner, you should develop those attributes. Because those attributes can translate to any environment, right?
Right.
And the point I'm making is that when you're excellent at what you do, it translates everywhere, and it can bring others along, and it can help them be excellent also.
Right.
But if you don't know what you're doing, then all you're doing is creating chaos, or create inferiority and mediocrity. And to me, that's evident in certain environments.
I think some years ago, I remember hearing Donald Rumsfeld say, "We don't know what we didn't know," or something to that effect. I don't know if you remember that statement, or we didn't know what we didn't know, something to that effect.
Right.
And I didn't understand. It took me a while to understand it, and now that I understand it, we can lose generations of kids who have ambition, who see football as a way out of their condition, who see whether it's through scholarship to go to college or opportunity to play pro. If we have people that function and that don't know that or don't want to acknowledge that what they're doing could be done better, right? And sometimes it just doesn't take a whole lot. We just need to commit ourselves to want to do it. And that's my argument. The football bit of it, we can take care of that if it means finding people from outside, but we have to be committed to it. We have to be committed to it 100%. Because when a child turned 13, you can't get back that 9 to 12 years space. So if we didn't maximize, you know about the 10,000 hour rule, right? If you're not getting the time in and you're not getting the repetitions, it's just difficult to get to the same place that a kid the same age as Spain would be, or England, or France, or Argentina.
Yeah, I think the excuse that, we don't have all these resources, I hear people make a lot of times, or come with the excuses, it's excuse because it doesn't take a lot of resources to write a business plan or to write a strategic plan. It doesn't take a lot of resources. In fact, nowadays you can write it without even trying. You can go take Spain, you can go take Colombia, you can go take England, you can take Germany, you can take all of them and say, you know what can we afford to do? You put one together and execute against it. What we have is a bunch of willingness stuff distributed, and we do things here and we plug holes here and they leak here. We keep plugging the hole and it keeps leaking. And when the leaks is done, we realize we have played 4 tournaments and we're home sitting watching everybody else play. And our kids are being disadvantaged because the adults don't know what they're doing.
Do you know how much tourists visit Jamaica every year?
No, it's a lot. That's all I know.
It's thousands of people. So let's just say we know it's not 10,000.
It's a lot because it's the highest component of GDP, so it's a lot.
Right. So let's say you have 100,000 people. It's way more than that.
Yeah.
How difficult would it be? Is it impossible for tourism? There's people coming from outside. The government passes a law that all the hotels, the restaurants, or whatever the case may be that is in those spaces, you add a $25 tax, $100 tax, whatever the number is, and that money is committed to sports in Jamaica. Right?
Which one of the parties? Because I hear the party in power is not into football. That's what I heard people say. I don't know. Don't
give
me a hard time. I won't get to politics, but I heard that
you're trying to
show
get
me some numbers.
Jamaica.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but somebody give me numbers about how many people are naturalized under the old regime 12 years ago versus now. It's materially different before versus now, and not in a positive direction. I have the numbers. They're ugly. They're ugly.
If something like that is put in place, every year you have revenue coming in to keep fixing the facilities, keeping it at a certain level, right? So that you can have youth leagues and have the maintenance that's necessary so the pitches are in a good condition. And I know track and field is a big deal as well. They're going to benefit from that as well. I don't know what's involved in doing that, but it seemed to me a pretty easy thing to put in place. I don't know what you think about that. You might know more about
yeah, I mean, look, people. There's always different factors that goes into additional fees which are put on, and people can say burden to other sectors. Because people are going to say, "What are you doing for sports? We need hospitals. We need all these facilities." You're going to get competing priorities that you have to struggle with, right? That's what's not going to happen. So it's going to be hard to do for sport. But you can come up with more creative ways to, as you're saying, generate revenues to assist the football on the island. Right? I mean, there are ways to do things. It's not just about football that I'm frustrated with the island. It's a lot of different factors, a lot of different things. I'm frustrated about guns and killings and all these other stuff. Brain drain. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to be frustrated about. But if we keep it at sports, we can do better. And we need to do better. And, when people like the JFF block people from overseas from being part of the program, because they have a 10-year maximum rule. You have to be on the island for 10 years to even be part of their board, part of the organization. So what they did is they have exclusions in their constitution. So you can't do something. And then when they have the constitution, they don't discriminate, they discriminate. So the constitution serves them when it benefits them, and it serves them in every way, shape, or form. Whether they do things illegal or legal, they refer back to the constitution. They can violate it as they choose. It's like Trump. They can violate the constitution when they choose. And then when they want to suit them, they refer to the constitution. It's just very frustrating. But we don't have any choice. So that's part of how things work.
But that's one of the things that here you run into obstacles, and you can let the obstacles block you, or you can go over them, you could go under them, you could go around them and find a way. And one of the things that you hear coming out to the Caribbean all the time is that we don't have this, we don't have that, we can't do this. We have that, but we're doing something else with it. There's always a excuse for why we don't have what we need. And you go back to the Olympics recently, right? And I don't know. If you do bad, we do a little bit.
1 second, Tommy. Go ahead, Andre. 1 second, Tommy.
Now go ahead.
Go ahead. Hello.
Thank you. Have you good night to you and your guests.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Have you ever heard about the Chase Fund?
The Chase funds, no? What's that?
Yes. Well, when Michael Manley was retiring,
yeah, I think I saw that website.
He gave that lottery that they have in Jamaica.
Right.
Yes. And the proceeds that the government get, all that money was supposed to go to sports. 50% of that money is supposed to go to football. But what previous government do and know, they put some money in culture. They put some in the education fund. And they divest the money all over the place. But all of that money was supposed to go to sports.
All right.
Yeah, and they call it, you can research it, they call it the Chase Fund now. But all that money was supposed to go to sports.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that knowledge. I wasn't aware of that. Even though I did I did a show the other day on Manly and US and all that stuff. I didn't see that part of my research, but that's good information.
That's the last thing he did when he retired.
Okay.
Yes.
I think
he gave
a few months ago. Is that something that you have to apply for?
No. That's why the government give football money like every month.
Every month they record, but they do give the JFF money, yeah.
Yes, that's where the money is coming from.
So you're saying the lottery money, part of that proceeds from the lottery goes towards the football.
Yes.
Okay.
But in the beginning, all of that money is supposed to go towards sports.
Okay.
But it's going to go to education fund. It's going to medical, all of these things. Yeah.
None going to SSL?
No.
Sorry. I can't help myself with this thing.
Unless they invest some there, I don't know.
Okay. Because if they have money, they may invest and try to get a good return and then distribute it to the sporting arena. Okay, I appreciate that information. Actually,
yeah, man, you can research it, man.
All right, cool. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, thanks. That was Tommy People, and so that Prime Minister allocated some funds for sports. Interesting. Well, all right. So Andre, we're gonna close the program down. Andre, first of all.
Yep.
Thanks a lot for being here. Appreciate you being here. Interesting discussion. A lot has been talked about. As I mentioned, Andre has an academy in North Carolina. It's called IDF, Interdevelopmental Football. As he mentioned, a lot of these kids go on to higher education. A few have gone pro. As you can see from some of the videos we showed, and part of his philosophy is around position football, which I would call modern day football, but he's been doing it for a while, even before it probably become as prominent as it is today. Because I think the prominence of position football, even though Wenger and all these other players played, it wasn't talked about as much as it is today, given Pep, what Pep has done, instead of revolutionize how that works, even though a lot of coaches before that, even back in the 70s with the Dutch, total football was part of that whole construct and concept. So, but Andre, I appreciate you being here. It's great always engaging with you about some of these topics. And our hope, and I know you have the same perspective, is that the Caribbean, which I keep hearing have a lot of raw material, hopefully that raw material can be turned into something productive and being built into something which is sustainable. And the kids who deserve our support and our help and our guidance can benefit from the right guidance. Because I keep saying, even though others may disagree, that even though we may not have the money required to compete with some of the larger nations, you can make up some of that with the coaching, given the raw material you're working with. And if the people in charge are not strategic, they're not thoughtful, they're not linear in their thoughts, they don't do the right thing, we're going to be where we are. We're going to be back here 10, 15, 20 years from now, having the same conversation, doing the same thing. It's unfortunate, but hopefully we'll see some light at the end of the tunnel, even though right now the tunnel is dark as you know what. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Are you going down for the 13th?
No, I don't. I am not one of those people, Andre. I don't chase it. No, seriously, I don't chase celebrities. I'm not one of those people. I'm very funny when it comes to that, I actually stay away. I'm telling you, I stay away. Right? I am totally different when it comes to that. You see me run to a concert with this artist who is this and that. No. I'll go watch Jamaica play in Timbuktu. Right? But I won't even try to get around the players sometime. Last time I went to St. Louis, I stay away from the hotel. I am different when it comes to that. Especially now I'm in the so-called media. I try to be as independent as possible, not conflicted. I haven't seen Messi play up close and personal. I probably would never do. I'm not going to watch him. I'm not flying to Miami to watch him play that. If they're in my environment, I watch them, right? When I was in England, I go to the Emirates quite a bit. We used to have a box. Well, I didn't have a box. Somebody had a box. I just go to their box. And it was fun watching it. And it's a different game when you watch it up close. But no, I'm not chasing anybody. I'm not chasing anybody. And that's because I have an adverse relationship with somebody who is going to benefit from this. That has nothing to do with it. I just don't chase people.
So I assume you didn't get your tickets yet. They didn't send you your tickets yet.
Somebody sent me. No, somebody who was having a beef with me sent me the listing even before it came out. Of Messi, and they sent me the ticket ranges to show me what they have achieved in life, and basically trying to probably tell me I haven't achieved anything. And I sent them the list that I had showed each of you guys that we had 4 tournaments, and you're the technical committee head, and you didn't qualify for none of them. So all you care about is your club team, just like I thought, and you proved it by trying to show me that Messi had come to Jamaica. You can go lick me, say whatever you want to lick. Me, I have nothing to do with that. I'm not impressed. Seriously, you could make $1 billion. I'm not, because money don't impress me no more. Now we can have more seasoned. I'm not impressed by money. So you can't impress me. If you can't impress somebody by money, you can't really impress them. And you can't impress me by your status. You can't impress me. I hope you win, whoever that person is. I hope you win. I hope you do really well, and your club does well. All I want you to do, I'm asking you one thing: leave Jamaica football alone. That's all I'm asking you. Leave Jamaica football because you don't know what you're doing there. Anyway, anyone. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful night. And Andre, we'll talk, sir.
Check the
Peace out.
chat. Okay.
All right. All right. Peace out.
All right.
Yeah.